Johnny Millennium and I got all cyberpunk with Ghost in the Shell. This is the live-action movie that stars Scarlett Johansson. It's based on a classic anime and a manga series. Johnny, what'd you think, my friend?
Let me say, I'm like you. I love the manga.
Yeah.
I love the anime.
Yes.
But I walked into this movie knowing that it was going to be its own thing, and
Yep.
I wasn't going to judge it too intensely. But I think the movie falls a little short of expectations on my part.
Right.
And I am a big fan of the manga and animated film.
Well, you know, the mystery is kind of gone, I think, which is part of the problem with Ghost in the Shell. Like, I think what they've done, Rupert Sanders is the director, and he did that Snow White and the Huntsman movie, which was terrible. But I think that must have been an incredibly nerve-wracking job for this guy to take, because this is such a beloved property, and there's so many, you know, amazing things that this has influenced along the way.
Yeah.
And the idea of a Ghost in the Shell movie has been something that's been percolating in Hollywood for a long, long time. And he knew that. Everybody involved knew that. You can almost feel
he shouldn't have taken the job.
well, you can feel like the pressure was on everybody.
Sure.
And I guess I am a little forgiving, because I did dig this movie. I thought it was pretty cool, and I think it, for the most part, really honored the source material. It sort of stayed pretty close
In a few ways, yeah, absolutely.
in sort of the visual look and the style, and I think honestly to its detriment. You know, like it should have improvised a little more. It should have shown us a little bit more of its own heart and soul, I think.
I found the directing very amateurish. I kind of found some of the acting very amateurish. I
Right.
was like, what's going on here? It didn't feel like it was in charge with a good director who had a really good vision.
Right.
It felt very superficial and very soulless. This movie, how I felt the whole way through, was just very flat.
Yeah.
I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel anything. That's the problem. I didn't feel anything.
It's very Android-like, right? It's very synthetic, and it almost feels like a choice in some ways. But the problem is, when the anime hit, because I wasn't a manga reader, I didn't know about Ghost in the Shell, but when I saw it on home video, I never saw Ghost in the Shell in the theater, but when I finally saw it, it was so mysterious and so evocative and so fresh and new. But now we live in a world where Elon Musk is actually going to create a company called Neuralink, and he's going to mesh, cyber stuff with our minds. And this idea, although topical, isn't prescient. It isn't about the future. It isn't about like a what if.
And that's
this
the thing,
this is happening, and we're in a post-Matrix world. We're in a post, cyber world in a lot of ways. We've seen a lot of these kinds of concepts that directly lifted from Ghost in the Shell. We get that. And that just adds a whole bunch of extra layers of expectation to this film. Yeah. And in spite of all that, I still thought it was pretty cool.
In the early 90s, you're absolutely right. With the manga and the anime film was created, there was no internet like we have now.
Totally.
So there was a whole bunch of things like in the comic that were like, oh my God, everybody's connected in the world and can communicate, via implants and stuff like that. It was really groundbreaking. But yeah, it's lost a little bit of that over time.
Yeah, the mystery's gone. Like, we not only know this property, if we're at all fans of this kind of stuff, but a lot of the concepts that they kind of hint at and suggest aren't as shocking now. The idea of a human brain and a cybernetic body, it's like something we might see on sort of regular television, Might be a bad guy on The Flash kind of thing.
Yeah, but 20 years ago, that was a big deal. And right now, I wasn't really moved by this movie, no pun intended.
Yeah.
I just really wasn't. I was kind of sitting through the movie, I'm like, I don't feel anything. Scarlett Johansson did a pretty good job.
She did, yeah.
She's a robot with no emotion, with a little bit of emotion.
And she's kind of trying to figure out, what her past is, the mysteries surrounding that, and she doesn't trust anybody. She feels betrayed. Again, we see that kind of plot line all the time in modern fiction right now. What's cool about it is that it did get made, and it isn't a complete and utter disaster.
It's not the Dragon Ball live-action movie.
Yes,
So
it's
that's
not
good.
horrible.
I think the problem with this movie is the director.
Yeah.
I think if you'd seen this movie made by Ridley Scott, he would have encompassed...
He would never do that, though.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but I would love to have seen his take on something like this, giving his soul into it.
Right.
And I felt this director just played it by the book, said, okay, we went follow the storyboards, and it felt, I said it in the beginning, very soulless.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if that was a conscious choice, where we're dealing with humans that have had their soul kind of sucked out of them. I did like the international cast that he did assemble. Juliette Binoche is kind of the scientist / mother that sort of shepherds Scarlett Johansson's character, the Major. I liked Arbato. I thought he was pretty cool. Pilu something. He's a Danish actor. He's actually really solid. And I liked Michael Pitt as sort of this creepy bad guy in the shadows. Michael Pitt's a very interesting actor, and I thought he did a good job, kind of almost with a Siri-esque or a Mac OS type voice.
A little bit. The repeating bit kind of annoyed me.
Yeah, a little Max Headroom.
Yeah, Max Headroom. That's exactly what I was.
It's so easy to reference all of the sort of computer cyber things that have come since this, because this really kind of, got everybody thinking along those lines to create content like this. It was so influential. The original I'm talking about, and so when it loops back to this, it's like, oh, we've seen this before. We've seen the the huge holographic advertisements and lots of the Minority Report,
all that stuff.
Yeah, listen, I don't think it's a bad film.
No,
I think
neither do I.
one of the things that's really too bad about this movie is, and I think it speaks to the soullessness, is the bloodlessness of this. I think the fact that it's not an R-rated film that really shows the
grits.
Yeah, the grit and the effects of the violence scattered all the way throughout this movie. I mean, a lot of it is, a lot on robot violence, so it doesn't really resonate like human violence would. But there is a lot of violence in this movie, and because it's not R-rated gore,
pushed all the way.
Yeah, you don't really connect with it. It feels a little safe, right? Everything
safe.
About it feels a bit safe.
Safe, yeah. They copied entire scenes right from the anime, right from the manga, and it's good. And it's kind of like, oh wow, they did a good job with that shot.
Fan films do that on the YouTube, right?
Yeah, I was left a little bit shallow in this movie.
Yeah.
I will never watch it again.
No?
Never.
Okay. Well, what are you going to give Ghost in the Shell?
I will give it a 7 out of 10. It has some nice visuals.
Yeah, it gets a 7 from me too. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.